Welcome to Toksave Culture Talks, the podcast of Paradisec, the Pacific and Regional Archive for digital sources in endangered cultures. I'm Jodie Kell.
And I'm Stephen Gagao. These are conversations with people who have personal and cultural connections to the languages and music in our archive.
As producers of this podcast, we acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which it is recorded and pay our respects to their elders past and present. We extend that respect to all First Nation contributors and listeners, and please be aware that this podcast may contain the voices of deceased people.
You are listening to Sinla Sinla by Talaandig artist Waway Saway from the Philippines. This beautiful music introduces a special episode of Toksave Culture Talks produced by Sydney Conservatorium of Music PhD candidate Starr Aberlardo.
Starr's research focuses on bamboo music as a crucial aspect of Filipino culture. Before coming to Australia, Starr worked in the Bamboo Musical Instruments Innovation Research and Development Program at the University of the Philippines Centre for Ethnomusicology and the UNESCO Culture 2030 Thematic Indicators Project. Her PhD fieldwork was conducted in Lantapan Bukidnon in Mindanao with the Talaandig community, a Lumad group. Lumad is the collective term for non-Muslim Indigenous people of Mindanao. The recordings that came out of her research are documented in the SA1 collection in the Paradisec archive.
In the episode, Starr is joined by DMA candidate, Assyrian and Armenian musician Lolita Emmanuel. Together, they interview Talaandig Lumad culture bearer Rodelio Waway Saway and Filipino-Aboriginal Australian musician Rhyan Clapham. Their conversation explores how language, land, and people shape resilient and sustainable musical practices. United by their dedication to Indigenous advocacy, both artists bring unique creative perspectives to this meaningful conversation.
Another notable aspect of this conversation is the connection between the presenters and their guests that Starr and Lolita will explain as they introduce the artists. We first hear from Starr as she introduces Waway, and then Lolita will introduce Rhyan.
Rodelio Waway Saway is a Filipino culture bearer who embodies multiple roles within his community. He serves as a leader, educator, farmer, and master artist specializing in bamboo instruments, katyapi boat lutes, and soil painting. Waway's musical style showcases his cultural identity while embracing global themes, weaving together rock and reggae influences with traditional Indigenous rhythms and sonic textures. I've also had the great privilege of working with him as both mentor and collaborator in my doctoral research.
Also with us today is an ARIA award-winning artist and proud Filipino and Marawi musician, composer, producer. He's a rapper as well. Rhyan Clapham, also known as Dobby. So Dobby's music moves through multiple musical worlds. He goes through hip-hop, classical and traditional music, and it's woven together so beautifully. He is an ambassador for the Indigenous Literacy Foundation, and his ARIA award-winning album Warangu River Story is a project that's deeply connected to the environment and First Nations justice. I'm also personally very honoured to have played keys and sung on this album, and to also call Dobby a great friend.
We now hand over to Starr and Lolita to steer the conversation, opening with an acknowledgement of country by Rhyan.
Whenever I acknowledge country here, I bring in a bit of my Mudawari language from my father's side. So I'd love to do that here. Bidara Taringa, Yamagoro Bunkobil, Nininurumba, Gadigo Me, Nyatu Gadi Dobby, Nyatu Mudawari.
So, Waway, I know you uphold your lineage legacy of chieftain peacemakers and champions of Indigenous people's rights and school of living traditions. Could you tell us more about your heritage?
I'm a descendant of Apo Agbibilin. Apo Agbibilin is in our the great flood history. So he's the one saved at the Mount Kitanglad. So he got 8 children. Of course, he married our ancestor Baiginamayong, who was saved at the Mount Kalatungan. So they got married after the flood, and then they have 8 children, and they intermarried between the children because nobody was left, only them, 2 of them. So now they have the Apo Saolana, who became the ancestors of the Talaandig. So I am from Talaandig tribe, and of course our great ancestors like Apo Malangmong, Apo Nangulutay, and of course down to my father Dato Kinulintang, the chief of our tribe years ago because he passed away. So I am from Talaandig tribe. It is the peacemaker of the tribal people in Mindanao.
That is also a Lumad group.
Yeah. And my father had 3 wives, 18 siblings.
Oh, wow.
I am the youngest
family.
in the first wife.
Okay.
We are 7. And in the second wife, the 8 children. And the third wife, 3.
So you grew up in a big family.
Wow.
Yeah, really big, really big.
Yeah.
Really big.
Yeah. Well, Ryan, you also share Filipino heritage, and I've introduced you as a proud Murwari and Filipino person. Could you tell us a bit about your connection to both sides of your heritage?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just hearing from Tatai now, I have so much that I've put into cultural advocacy for my place as a Murwari man in the space here on Gadigal country, but also there's so much that I need to learn. I've always said that I've wanted to be able to speak not just Tagalog, but Waray, which would be amazing. My mum came here to this country in 1985 from Tacloban on the island of Leyte. And every time I go back to the Philippines, I learn more. How can I, what are my obligations there? What can I do in the art space to represent the Philippines?
Wow. Actually, when I traveled to the U.S., we have this program for the Filipino diaspora. We call it Gongs Away, Gongster Paradise Festival. Trying to guide the artist to the Filipino roots through music, through arts. So we have this tribal tour that happens every year, so they can see the roots, the Filipino roots. It's, I think, very important for Filipino artists in the diaspora.
Yeah, absolutely.
You mentioned that you also want to learn the language of your mother's heritage as well. So was it the Waray?
Yeah,
Waray language? Yeah.
Yeah. When mum hears it, it's really special. She told me about a trip that she took to Tasmania, and she heard someone speaking Waray.
Oh.
She was like, "Oh my God! What? Who? Where?" And she was from the same province.
Oh, wow.
Which is just so, region specific and makes her feel right at home, so.
Yeah, thank you for playing that song. Actually, I wrote the song to encourage the people to remove their fear, protect the environment. Because the main point of the song is let us protect the mountains, the forest. Because the forest is our school, our church, our marketplace and our pharmacy. So this is about life.
Yeah.
It's about life that, of course, during loggings, our school was destroyed because the trees that give signs when to hunt, when to collect honey, it was all destroyed.
Yeah.
They took everything. They harvest the forest. Now there is a forest denudation in the Philippines.
Yeah.
And, because forest is environment and culture is one, so there's also a kind of a cultural erosion. Yeah.
Could you explain the meaning of throw, catch, step, and stomp, like the significance of that?
The significance of that is don't be afraid. Because back in 1990s, some of the environmentalists being killed. I heard one priest was killed because he was protecting the forest. So that came into my mind, I should write a song so that people will not be afraid to
like a call to action.
protect the environment. Because it's our life. So without the environment, we all die. Especially if we cannot protect the topsoil. Topsoil is the reason why we have apples, we have everything. We have cabbage, we have carrots, we have broccoli, we have cauliflower, we have rice. And if it is brought to the sea over time, erosion, every time there is rain, there is soil erosion. So what will happen to the world? Only the flat land will remain, and then it would not be enough. They cannot produce food for the whole world population.
Could you tell us more about what it means to you to write songs in your language?
Of course, I'm speaking to the Visayan people and to the Tagalog people. Because we all have a responsibility. So that's why I write it in Bisaya and
Yeah.
But some of my songs, of course, I write it in our own language because, there is also a kind of erosion, a language erosion.
Yes.
Yeah.
With the coming of the migrants that is dominant,
Yeah.
So we need to keep our language because our language is the language that connected with our ancestral territory, the native title rights.
Yeah.
The native title is spoken through the native language. Yeah.
There's so many phrases that you're saying that relate so specifically to here as well. Our communities are going through native title claims and trying to regain ownership of land and to build from that. And as you're speaking, I'm thinking about the two big trips that I took last year, one to the Philippines and then to Ecuador. And when I showed my partner, Lola, who is Ecuadorian, this song specifically, and we watched your video, and there's so many powerful moments, it made her emotional because it reminded her so much of the music and the culture of the indigenous peoples in Ecuador, Not just because of the same environmental issues, but even the same hair. Because they also have so much importance of long hair. So those types of things really just makes me think of global indigeneity. What does that mean for all of us fighting for land, fighting for the protection of our forestry here as well,
Yeah.
Yeah, because we are, most of the indigenous people, we are the marginalized. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard any politicians that would say, one of my platform is for the indigenous people. And, when I grew up, I witnessed so many people come to my father, a teacher, ask my father about indigenous knowledge, system, and practices. An engineer would ask my father how you built your house.
Yeah.
A doctor would come and ask, what are your medicinal plants?
Yeah. Yeah.
What are your songs? We are the source of knowledge. But then nobody cares. I don't know. Maybe we're just a source and then ignored for the development. We're not part of the development. And this time, most of the people are rich people or politicians or, they just go to our ancestral territory and then look for the best spot and then have it and put their resorts.
Yeah.
But we became slaves.
Yeah.
You know, it's a problem, not only in our tribe. I think it's over the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If people learn to just collaborate and understand and learn from Indigenous peoples, not only are we building like our collective identities and finding an ethical sense of pride in our nations, we would be healing the land as well. But no, you know, people want to go cheaper, they want to go faster, they want to build more, they want to, extract. It's very extractive, yeah.
Well, Tatai, one thing that I heard you say, and I'm learning from you as well, is you mentioned about this deep connection between the language and the land. The language is the land is the language. And it's just so amazing that Rhyan has a song called The Language is in the Land. And that's actually something that I wanted to play for us to listen to, And before we play it, maybe, Rhyan, when we play this in your performances, in your sets, it's usually the last song. You know, it's the last, I guess, message I'm assuming that you want to leave people with. Would you say that's right?
Very much so, yeah. The album is, among other things, a call to action, you know, and this is the sort of call to action piece that brings my journey and my identity connecting and, you know, understanding more about the river that runs through my community. And just a quick context, so the river that runs through my community is called the Barwon. The Nyamba people call that river Wawango. And then there's the Kolgoa River that runs up north and the Bergen River that runs down south. And those three rivers, they interconnect within 1 kilometer of each other. The creature, what white people call the rainbow serpent that created that river in the first place as it slithered across the land, is called Waway in the Wawango. And my album's called Warango, which means river. But that same creature, when it travels up north, the language changes and so the name changes. It's not the Waway anymore, it's the Mundagara, out of the Nyando, which is Murawari language, where my great-grandfather was born and his great-grandmother was raised him under the birthing tree. The Mundagara travels, changes his name to Waway and changes his name down into the Bergen, the Bogari River. So the idea was, as I was learning, you got to know which language to speak to that creature in order to connect to it.
Well, let's have a listen to how Rhyan speaks about the connection. So this is the connection between the language and the land. So the language is in the land. Let's have a listen.
Frustrated and fed up, these locals have had enough.
Large Murray cod in dire condition.
It is water policy that has taken our water from us.
The findings are damning, but the question is, will anyone listen?
Better rivers and better states, better live in a better place, preparation of better days, a generation of better ways. Better rivers and better states, better live in a better place, preparation of better days, generation of better ways.
So just a little snippet there. I wish we could listen to all of it, but can I ask you, Rhyan, about all of those samples that you have in the beginning?
Yeah, throughout this song as well, you'll hear more news grabs, all these people talking about a particular incident that happened in 2019, which was this massive fish kill, right? Millions of fish that died in a place called Menindee Lakes. And it was due to a lot of government-run mistakes and corporate greed. It was mass over-irrigation of the rivers, and it led to blue-green algae blooming in stagnant waters. Brewarrina was definitely a part of that. Our rivers ran completely dry, and then we were up at the top, so everything further on, even less, right? They called a royal commission into this issue, and we're left with hundreds of different, recommendations for how to help it, and we're still trying to meet those recommendations today. And the people that lose out are the Indigenous communities, the farmers, right? 3 million people that depend on this Murray-Darling Basin. So that's kind of where that context comes from.
Yeah.
Where is the accountability? Where is the, like you said, prioritizing Indigenous knowledge? Because they are the ones that know how to care for country.
Sustainable.
Yeah. So speaking of sustainability, so through your musical practice, you've both been very vocal champions of sustainability, right? Some people view music sustainability as the pursuit of continuing music traditions and practices, as in the actual music culture. while others see it as using music to solve real-world problems, whether they're environmental, economic, or sociocultural. As musicians, what comes to mind when you think of the phrase music sustainability?
It's very important. Like, you really need to use your own language because it is a powerful thing to have your identity. And then, of course, it will remind the name of the places, the particular name of the rivers, particular name of the mountains, the particulars of everything that is found in your territory. So that's why you need to keep writing songs using your language. We can write songs with the help of the technology. But of course, we'll find a way that identity is there. We can learn from the elders now, their point of view, like this, their sayings that you want to incorporate in your song. Because in the future, the next generation will have reference, knowing that your song have the roots. Important to keep the roots because it will make us sustainable. As a musician, I also learn the chanting, the traditional musical instruments from the bamboos, because I know that it's the root. And if you have the good root, then you'll have a good trunk and good branches, and you'll have a good fruit. So, as an elder musician, give priority to the music that is rooted to our culture.
Yeah. With that context in mind, Dobby, how do you imagine music sustainability? What does that mean to you?
I think it's conversations like these. You know, this album that I made, I wrote it as a musician. I'm not an ecologist, but I am Indigenous. So I have a passion there and I have a obligation, you know, but I don't have the answers. So I know what works. I know Indigenous backburning works. I know that having Indigenous people as ecological rangers works. So all I can do is point us in the direction. If anyone listens to the album and they say, you know, oh, I should really think about what sustainability looks like for the land, that's the difference, you know, then the album is doing its work, you know.
I think speaking about sustainability, I think Indigenous peoples throughout the world should collaborate and connect so that it become powerful statements and, you know.
Dobby, I'm thinking back to the tours that you led and that we did for Warangu. And I think about how we went to Brewarrina, where your family's from, where you're from, and the fish traps there. You know, I feel like we have to talk about that when we're talking about sustainability,
of course,
right?
Yeah, you're right. Thank you so much, Lolita.
It's what came to my mind.
Totally. So Brewarrina is home to these beautiful fish traps. It's these rock catchments, fish catchments in the river, at the Barwon River. They're still there, and they've been there for 40,000 years.
Wow.
Yeah, they haven't moved them. Kids still play in those rivers and they still catch traditionally, which is, you know, why it's so important. And I feel like it's just recently been considered like a natural heritage site, which is fantastic. But, you know, all the money that goes into that, you know, so that's what it looks like.
Yeah, that's on the cover of your album.
That's the cover of the album, yeah. And it's such a beautiful indication of where each tribe would be. And the fact that it's still there has brought on a lot of tourism, but the council, the money has gone into viewership, you know, in terms of like, let's put a bridge over it. No, let's not do that. Let's like maybe get out the bullweeds and actually clean up the river, you know, instead of viewing it. There'll be nothing to view if we don't take care of it.
It makes me think about the time that we arrived there and how there'd been a drying out of the river. But when we did arrive, it had filled up. It's making me think about this idea of resilience and the return of the water representing that. And it's something that also is very interconnected with this conversation around music sustainability. And typically, you know, people define resilience as the capacity to withstand or recover quickly from difficulties. Dobby, I might ask you, since we're talking about this, how do you make sense of this connection, particularly in the context of music?
I think that is very much what I sort of bring to my music as a more quote unquote political artist. I think existence is resilience. So it's not about, being political or not, but I do really express that because that's what gives me a drive. When I see our community talking about, we will not move, we will not budge, we will stand here. And then with that comes our knowledge and our ecological, wisdom that come from our ancestors to bring those backburning practices, those ecological sustainability practices. It's all hand in hand. And music is just the best way in my mind to portray that. So Warangu is definitely a testament to me trying to sort of portray that, but also knowing my place because, again, I'm not an ecologist. I'm just someone that can sort of point the way. Yeah.
Waway, do you resonate with that in terms of resilience and sustainability, connection between the two?
Yeah, of course, as a songwriter, as artist, it is our challenge to sing our rights because you cannot just sing love songs. Love songs, maybe you think that it will be sold out. No.
Yeah.
I don't care. For me, I don't care. I sing a song that comes from my heart, that tells about the struggle of our people.
Yeah.
That's it. Because I know it will become sustainable and resilient because people can relate to it. But I have also some love songs. But, because singing love songs would be a gateway for them to go to your music, to your powerful lines that will wake them up when they are maybe sleeping.
So now we will have another chance to listen to one of Waway's songs. Not a love song. It's called Escali. Hey brother, right?
Hey bro.
Hey bro.
Hey bro.
You can hear the kubing, the mouth harp.
You know that? Kubing? Mouth harp?
Mouth harp, yeah.
Okay, so can you tell us about this song and how it relates to sustainability?
The song is about a hunting song. Hey bro, wait on the other side. There's a wild boar coming.
Yeah.
You have to ambush the wild boar. And it tells about the food, about the taro. So as long as people would eat taro, then there's sustainability because it can relate to the food, no? Traditional food is very important in the survival of the indigenous people because it's the one that, that's that grow in your specific area.
Yeah.
Food is sustenance, no? So food and song, they are interconnected. So we can sing about the importance of our food, everything, no?
You're talking about the connection between music and food and how that relates to our culture and also, deeper into sustainability and our practices. It reminds me of Alara Briggs, and she has a song called Murnong Farm where she talks about living in the city in Melbourne, but as an Aboriginal woman, what she can do in the concrete jungle to express resistance, express ancient practices in her rental in Preston. And then talking about, similar to the flower that grows out of the concrete, making food like her ancestors would, and the importance of food in our music, I think, is very true.
Well, Dobby, I'm just thinking about, the whole project of Warangu is speaking to that idea as well, because water is life. It creates life, and it's important for the fish traps, and and I wanted to play Water, which is a track on your album as well. So maybe we can have a listen to that first, and then can share a little bit about that.
For sure. Yeah, thank you very much.
I know our ancestors are really proud of us today for dancing all around our country, for our water. Our water is our life. We can't do without that.
We need water. We're river people. They go and camp near the river, the connection to the river. It's so devastating to see this, and you go to Brewarrina. I could cry.
Trade our rivers for cotton, ancient wisdom forgotten. Fill their pockets with riches, turn that liquid to profit. Send that water to Walgett. See no fish in the bar when asking questions like water. Where the bloody hell are ya? Taking my message in 5 as you run to the streets. From the Barwon, the Darling, from the Murray, the sea. Go.
I love it.
I could see Tatai light up and running along as well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about the song and what we're hearing in that as well.
Yeah, I guess, to contrast from the other song with all the news grabs, this is the community talking. So you can hear Auntie Josie Biner from Waway Country, Wilmaringal. You can hear my cousin Auntie Lily Shearer, talking from Brewarrina, Brad Gordon, Bruce Schiller, and we've got a few other people there as well, and Rachel Evans, who's doing the protest song at the end. And this album being a hip-hop album about the rivers that millions of people depend on, it can't be just my story. It needs to be the voices of those people, the people that grew up there. I didn't grow up there. So that was my obligation as well, to sort of give advocacy to them, to say what they want to say.
Yeah.
And so
Give them voice.
Yeah, give them voice, and that's what music does, right? So that was kind of my plan with this song.
Yeah, we're having that problem also in the Philippines. Like, rich people got the water rights, and they're having problem. Like, water system is having a poor service because the water rights is owned by people from Manila.
Yeah, goodness.
We have a greater connection, because your songs tells about water and river, and then I'm from the mountain, so
yeah,
it's really connected to us.
Yeah,
it's so great that you can both see so many connections in terms of how you're using music, to speak for your community, or speak with your communities, I should say, and you're both doing it in unique ways, ways that speak to you artistically and creatively as well, which is what I'd like to talk to you both about. This idea of creativity and your creative practices. And I think the reason why I mention this is because when we start talking about resilience and sustainability, there's this big word that can sometimes be a bit complicated or tricky to talk about, and that's authenticity.
Yeah.
The reason why I say, it's complicated is because sometimes it can be a really restrictive way to talk about musical cultures, as if there's one way, one authentic way to be. And, we know that culture isn't fixed. It's changing. It's constantly evolving as people live. But then there's this other view of authenticity, which is just about staying true to who you are and your voice. So we'd love to know, for each of you, how would you define authenticity? Maybe, Tata, you can start.
Authenticity, it starts with your personal point of view that is rooted to your culture. It depends on how you gonna serve it. The substance, or if my words are like water from the wells that taken from my territory, then songs, different genre, is just a container of my ideas. Like, I can say it in a reggae, hip-hop, ballad, or whatever, but still my words are the wisdom from my ancestor, from my territory.
Yes.
Yeah, so we don't worry about using it through hip-hop, using it through reggae, but the essence of that song is from the wheels that can be found in your territory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really beautiful. Thank you. And as you're saying that, I'm thinking now, a lot of the time when we talk about authenticity, it's because it's in the context of society and the industry, but also society changing it. And we often get lost because of that. In music, there's money, there's fame, there's whatever, all of this stuff, and you're fitting an Indigenous concept into a non-Indigenous framework, and then trying to figure out how to bring, for in our case, 80,000 years of culture into a capitalistic run society that plays your song and gives you 0.007 cents per stream. So how does that work? It doesn't. It doesn't. But we try and make it work, and I feel like authenticity comes in that context for me. But like you're just saying, Tate, like Brad Stedman, who was a big part of this album, he said to me, just remember, you're not a person doing Aboriginal things. You're an Aboriginal person doing things. So you are who you are. And that has to be strong.
Yeah.
And cement and a strong framework. And then everything comes from that.
And we are so lucky. Musicians are so lucky because we can insult people through song.
Yeah.
We can slap them
in a subtle way.
That's right.
In not so subtle way.
Sometimes
can
not so subtle
cut their heads
ways.
in a subtle way. And they cannot fight back. Because even if they are being insulted, they dance on our song.
Yeah, they're there. They're dancing.
You're dancing.
Yeah.
They're bleeding. But
that power of being able to represent your community and represent your culture is just what makes it's the biggest positive power of music. I feel just so fulfilled. Because not only am I sort of honoring my culture and my community, but I'm also learning along the way. And I feel like that's, a really beautiful thing that I can learn language in it, and I hope to do that for my Filipino side as well.
Well, yeah, Tata, I guess I'm thinking about this idea of staying true to your creative voice, with all the different creative things that you do and choices that you make, and whether that ever comes into tension with the traditions, the shared traditions of your community.
For me, a truth is must be spoken, even if it hurts other people, or even if it will cause you death. But for me, I'm not afraid of death because everyone dies anyway. So it's my accountability to tell the truth. How can we shape the community if we will not tell the truth?
Yeah.
So there are many ways of telling the truth. It's either it could be brutal, because some people, they have different levels. Some people should be hit in the head. Some people must be hit in the heart before they can wake up.
Yeah.
So truth is like a spear, or could be a thing that make people wake up and understand the purpose of life. And then understand what is justice. That justice that applies to everyone, not only for the rich people or poor people or for the indigenous people or for the other people, but truth must be justice.
Yeah. For me, I think about the indigenous people across the world and their connection to land, and everything after that is mess, and it's helped me realize and subside anxieties about how society can make you feel a certain way, make you look or talk or learn or be in educational institutions a certain way, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of this is a house of cards, because the most important thing is understanding what land you're on. So it helps me undo all of that. It's a profound truth that helps you actually go, well, screw this stuff, and, I'm going to fight for truth.
Yeah.
Truth and bravery is what seems to be the, powerful words from this. Before we wrap up, we've asked each of you if there's one song that you'd like to leave with us. Waway, is there a song that you'd like to share before we finish?
Yeah, Bulalakaw is a song was inspired by our annual ritual Panaloig. It's a river ritual. We always do it every year to pay respect to the guardians of the water. Bulalakaw is the guardians of the water. Yeah. Bualakaw Diwata, Bualakaw, the guardians of the rivers.
Diyusan ng karagatan, ng mga ilog at katubigan. Narito ako sa inyong paanan nagsusumamo. Nananalangin ng anak ng tribong napabayaan ng mahabang panahon.
Dobby, I believe it's Dippy, you in Patrilinear.
So Dippy in Patrilinear means the bird names himself. And the way I had recorded this, I was waking up and it was about 6 a.m. and I had heard this bird so close to me because it was one of those houses where there was mesh on the outside so the bird couldn't see me. And I quickly recorded this bird. It's a pied butcher bird. And I created the music around it. I didn't manipulate him whatsoever.
Dippy, you and Patrilinear, singing his name throughout the Brewarrina. Kaya lang nato yonku yo nato paku. I think Bayami telling us he can see ya. Dippy, you and Patrilinear, home to the Nuno, the continuing dream. I am Bawel, Wanyo, Abelardo, Camilla, Roy, Mudawari, Bakanji, Wakamara, the Barabinya.
There are so many beautiful, beautiful ways that we can continue this conversation, and I wish we had a bit more time, but we have reached the end of this episode of Toksave. Thank you so much, Dobby and Tatai, for your time and for sharing your powerful work and your music. It's so great to listen together as well.
It's so lovely to learn about all the connections between your two practices.
Yeah.
Thank you, Waway and Rhyan, for your participation. To Lolita for your input, and to Starr for guest producing this fascinating podcast episode. The conversation showed that there are many different ways to approach music sustainability and resilience. For example, using local materials such as bamboo, incorporating language in songs, being rooted in culture no matter the genre, using field sounds to connect to the land, and voicing the struggles and truth. But we can see that these all come back to language, land, and people.
If you would like to hear more music from Waway and DOBBY, you can find them on streaming services online. If you would like to access the SA1 collection documenting Starr Aberlardo's research, or you would like more information about Paradisec, the work we do, and the online catalogue, you can visit our website at www.paradisec.org.au.
Toksave Culture Talks was launched as part of the United Nations Year of Indigenous Languages in 2019. It is produced by Jody Kell and me, Stephen Gagao. This special episode was guest produced by Starr Aberlardo with research assistant Lolita Emmanuel and audio engineering by Michael Manzini.
For this special episode, we particularly thank the Sydney Conservatorium of Music. We would also like to acknowledge the support of LDACA, the Language Data Commons of Australia, the ARDC, the Australian Research Data Commons, the Australian Research Council Centre of Excellence for the Dynamics of Language, and the University of Sydney, the University of Melbourne, and the Australian National University.